My part in the story with Margra began with a really well-known butcher, and he just gave me a piece of shoulder, I believe, sight unseen, and said, "This is a new product, what do you think of this?" And I took it home, just roasted it simply, and even then I knew I had something special. The fat quality in your mouth, that low melting point, was immediately apparent. It was just almost like hot olive oil when you ate it. The intensity of the flavour, a slight salinity, delicacy. And I remember going back to Darren and saying, "Hey chef, what the fuck was that?" I knew that it was going to be different and be a game changer. Not only for the qualities of the fat, but the fact that we could have an entirely new trim spec. We could leave more of the lamb on the product and to get it onto the plate. That original economic model that Graham came forward carried through even to how much was left on the carcass, which was incredibly important for me in terms of that sustainability, financial and viability. The true advantage of Margra is the fact of its intramuscular fat, how fine those beads are, the moisture holding capacity of those fats, and that it's an intrinsic part of the muscle. It doesn't render out during cooking, so you get a better yield, but also it's there as you eat it, hence the sort of the juiciness. Convention has it that normally we would trim all of that fat off. This, we need to leave it on. We need to hero the fat. We need to treat it like we would fine pork and leave as much on. And so we completely changed the cut spec and left as much of the fat on. And then of course, it became the whole education program about talking to chefs and giving them the insight and saying, look, this is different, you have to treat it different. And if I could just get it into their mouth and go, what are you feeling when you're eating this? And they would go, you're right, it's actually people eating it, which was the fundamental change.
First time I ever tried Margra lamb, I was just like, yeah, most lamb in Australia is just lamb. So I got it in, not expecting it to blow my mind. And then I cooked with it and I noticed it straight away. I started in a cold pan, which most people tell you with any lamb is a big no-no, it's gonna stick. Because it slowly rendered and the fat slowly rendered out, the fat on it crisped up almost like a pork belly crackling. I couldn't believe it, and I'd never seen lamb react that way before. And then I went, all right, this is pretty cool, but it can't taste that good. And then I ate it and I went, holy shit, this is actually genuinely different. Every type of lamb dish is generally considered a main course. Getting away from those ideas and trying to get it into that entree world, especially having people not associate lamb with just being a rich, strong flavored main course, but also knowing it can have nuance and delicate tones to it and subtlety as well, whether it's a beautiful plate of lamb charcuterie, whether it's those merguez stuffed zucchini flowers that have been fried, it's just phenomenal. With traditional lamb, you've kind of got a lack of flavor in the meat and an overly strong flavor in the fat. Whereas with Margra, I find you're tasting the meat and the fat's there to kind of accompany it and lift the flavor of the meat up rather than overpowering it.
For a long time, I think a lot of people just considered lamb was just lamb. And they were kind of right before Margra came along, because it is at the forefront of not just lamb, but of all produce being put forward in the market at the moment. And it's homegrown, it's a great story. The mouthfeel is very delicate, the low melting point. It's just a higher quality, it feels different. It's one of those things you have to really taste and understand and feel. Most of the best restaurants in Sydney certainly are using Margra, and it's something very special to work with. They have the most amazing lamb that will probably never be surpassed, and I can only see them getting stronger and stronger. It's nice to be involved with a company that is on the front foot, really pushing the envelope with lamb.